Jonathan here, and welcome to Learn to Playthrough. And welcome back to the playthrough of Mansions of Madness, First Edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch. We're now going to be continuing on with Round 3, but first, let's go ahead and do a recap to see what happened last time. Our two investigators, Harvey Walters and Jenny Barnes, they made it to the mansion, entered into the foyer, and the first thing that they saw, or more like smelled, was burnt food. So with that inspired them to go ahead and check out the kitchen area. As Harvey led the way, Jenny held back, and she found a whiskey bottle over on one of the tables underneath the lamp there, and quickly took that bottle and put it into her purse. Is there something we should know about Jenny? So they made their way through the dining room, and Harvey didn't find anything in the dining room there, but Jenny made it into the kitchen where she found a silver key that was amongst the outline of a burnt body on the kitchen table. So it looks like they were so fixated on going to the kitchen that they didn't notice the blackened footprints leading from the dining room through the foyer, up the stairs into the hallways in the upper right-hand corner. Now the keeper, it looks like he was not on the offensive or neither the defensive. It looks like he's more or less stocking up his arsenal for a good punch. You can see that he's got 4 of the Mythos cards building up there, and below that he's got 3 of the Insanity's trauma cards. The bottom right-hand corner, he's got 2 threat tokens there. So in about 1 or 2 rounds, looks like he's going to have enough threat tokens to do some good buying of his keeper cards. In the bottom middle there is the event cards, and there's got 2 time tokens on there right now. So the 3rd time token at the end of this round is going to reveal that first card, so we'll start seeing what happens. Now remember that the keeper, he's got to make it through all those event cards before the investigators do what they have to do. So now, let's go ahead and continue on with round 3. So remember for the investigator's turn that they get 2 movements and then they get 1 action. For the action, they can go ahead and run, use a card ability, drop an item, attack a monster, or explore. So with Harvey and Jenny in the kitchen here, Harvey finally notices that there is a door over here, and he tells Jenny, go ahead and look through the kitchen to see if you can find anything else. I'm going to go ahead and investigate what's behind that door. So Harvey's going to go ahead and do his movement. So Harvey's going to go ahead and going to move 1 into the storage. And he gets in there and he says, I'm okay. How you doing out there? Jenny doesn't even say anything. And now Harvey's going to use his action step to go ahead and explore the storage room here. So we're going to go ahead and pick up the exploration card. And, oh, he got something this time. He got a sedative. It's an equipment. And as an action, discard this card to discard 1 trauma card from an investigator in your space, including self. He may not move during his next turn. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Alright. So Harvey gets a sedative card. So if he gets a major trauma on himself that he doesn't like, or if Jenny gets a trauma on her, he can go ahead and just use the needle and stab it into him. Alright, well, Harvey's going to go ahead and finish off his turn by finishing up with the 2nd movement and take that last movement step as he moves back into the kitchen with Jenny. And as he's moving back in there, he said, are you done looking through everything? And she's like, ew, this is gross. No, I'm not going to be looking around. And Harvey notices a closet right off to the right and says, here, we'll just go ahead and look in through this stuff. So what's going to happen now is, it is after Harvey's movement step. And what that means is that as a keeper, I can go ahead and activate one of the Mythos cards. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this Mythos card right here. Is what is inside. It costs 0 threat tokens, and the requirement is that an investigator has to be in the laboratory, the freezer, the operating room, or kitchen. And Harvey is in the kitchen right now. And he goes over to the doors, and you open the closet doors looking for clues. Instead, you find that the cabinets are filled with bloody body parts. Test willpower +1. Okay. So we go ahead and get Harvey's trait that has the willpower on it. And you can see that Harvey has a willpower of 6. +1 will make it a willpower of 7. So the game comes with a 10-sided die, and this is what we're going to be rolling to see if Harvey can hold back the thought of seeing all those bloody body parts. Now normally you have to roll a die and get better than the number, but in the case of Mansions of Madness, you actually have to roll equal to or lower than the number. So Harvey's got the willpower of 6, and then +1, he's got a willpower of 7. So I need to roll this 10-sided die, and I need to get a 7 or less. Oh no! Automatically fails. Okay, so on the 10-sided die, if you ever roll a 1 or a 10, those are called automatically passes or automatically fails. Depending on which side it is, in the case of Harvey, he rolled a 10, so that's an automatically fails. That means if there's anything that can give him bonuses to his attribute on his trade card here, so even if his willpower became a 10 or an 11 or a 12 or whatever, he still rolled a 10 on the 10-sided die, which means it's an automatic failure. And then on the other end, if you end up rolling a 1, that's an automatic success. So no matter what happens with your willpower, you can end up having a willpower of a -4, and if you roll a 1, you would still make it. So Harvey ends up failing. And then we'll see what it says. On the bottom it says, fail, take 2 horror. Alright, we'll go ahead and discard this Mythos card, what is inside. And then Harvey's going to take a horror. And this is what it is, this little blue token. And he ended up losing 2 horrors. So there's 2. And we'll just go ahead and put them right here by his character card. So that's not too good for Harvey, because he's a little bit shooken up, thinking he's going to open the cabinet and find some bread and peanut butter and jelly and some spaghetti, and instead he finds bloody body parts. Now what can happen next also by the keeper, because the keeper produced damage in the aspect of sanity loss, that now the keeper can possibly use one of the trauma cards because it's got the blue brain on it. Now remember, he cannot use this one that's got a 0 on it, because Harvey's sanity, which is a 14, but now it's a 12, it's got to get all the way down to 0 before the keeper can actually use this card. So we got 2 other cards we can use: Forbidden Knowledge and Nyctophobia. So I think what the keeper's going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and deliver Nyctophobia upon Harvey Walters. Did you hear something? Where's the light switch? Whispers come from the darkness. Oh God, where's the light? Each time you enter a basement, attic, cave, or room in darkness, test your willpower. If you fail, you take 1 horror. Okay? So we'll go ahead and give this to Harvey. So he's got nyctophobia. Now, he just did get the sedative. And the sedative says, as an action, discard this card to discard 1 trauma card from an investigator in your space, including self. So if he wants to, he can go ahead and give himself a shot with the sedative to get rid of this trauma card of nyctophobia. So he's just going to go ahead and pass on that. He's not going to use the sedative. So with that, that's going to end Harvey Walters' turn. So next up is Jenny Barnes. Well, Jenny, the whole time she's been just waiting in the kitchen for Harvey as Harvey went into that storage room and looked for stuff, and now he's back in the kitchen and looking around, and he's freaking out as he opens up a closet and a bunch of body parts all bloody and gory and mangled up and falling out all over the place, and so she's just waiting for him. She still remembers that he said to go ahead and stay close. Let's not separate because we don't really know where we're at here. And especially after seeing the outline of a burnt body on the kitchen room table, she's starting to get a little bit antsy. So she's wanting to make a run for it, but she's going to hold off. She's going to hold off, and then she's going to go ahead and pass her turn. So she's not going to do any movements, and she's not going to do an action step. She's just going to stay in the kitchen with Harvey, and then they'll go ahead and move next round. So with that, that's going to end Jenny Barnes' turn. So next up, Keeper turn. Step 1, Investigator Trading Step. So it looks like the investigators are starting to pile up with a bunch of stuff over there. Harvey's got the sedative, and that's the only really physical object that he has. Like I said before, the spells that he used doesn't have like a big spell book or anything like that. It's just whatever he's got inside his head. Jenny's over there with her double 45s. She's got a bottle of whiskey that's in her purse that no one really knows about except for her, and she's got the silver key. So at this point, they're not going to do any kind of trading. So let's go ahead and move on to Step 2, Gain Threat Step. So the Keeper's going to go ahead and get 2 threat tokens because he receives 1 threat token per player or per investigator here. So now he's going to have a total of 4 threat tokens. And now we'll move on to Step 3, Keeper Action Step. So we got ourselves 4 threat tokens, and the command minions, there's no monsters out there, so the Keeper really can't control any monsters, so he's not going to do that one. We got ourselves Evil Presence. We can spend 1 because now we're down to 3 Mythos and 2 of the trauma cards. So we do have 1 space left for the Mythos, and we have 2 space left for the trauma cards. But I think we're going to go ahead and skip that, so we're not going to do any buying of the Mythos and the trauma cards with the Evil Presence. We could do Take Sample if there was a monster out there, but there isn't, so we can't do that one. We got enough tokens to do Uncontrollable Urges, but the Keeper doesn't really feel like there's a necessary to split the party of the investigators yet. And then the big punch is that we have 4 tokens. We can do Maniac Attack, but we can't because we can only bring out the Maniac when the investigators are separated. So with that, it looks like we're not going to do any of the Keeper action cards. So let's move on to step 4, monster attack step. Well, there's no monsters out there to attack the investigators with, so we can go ahead and skip this step. And then we move on to step 5, event step. So with step 5, the event step, we go ahead and take a time token and we place it on the event cards. So right now we have 3 time tokens on there, which means that on the bottom here is the number 3. So once you place 3 time tokens on here, then we're going to go ahead and reveal this first card. Clock strikes 10, the fall of House Lynch. If clue 3 has not been found, each investigator takes 1 horror, otherwise resolve one of the following. Well, Jenny Barnes did find the clue, 3A, so we're not going to take any horror. So now it says to go ahead and resolve the following. And it says to resolve either 3A or 3B. And the 3A or 3B is based on the story choices of the answer. And the keeper's answer is 3A to question number 3. So 3A says, a fiery figure bolts down the hallway towards the bedroom. Place a zombie in hallway 2 with a fire token on him. When he is dealt damage, place the fire token in his room. Ouch. Alright, so we'll get that, and then we'll go get a zombie. Now it depends on how you want to be setting up your monster figures and such. I leave everything out, so here is the zombie figure, there's his base, and the zombie monster token. So what we do is there's a slot in the front, and you're going to go ahead and take the name of the zombie is going to go in this front, so you're going to put the name of the zombie in first. Just got to be careful when you put it through the slot there, because it could end up bending up the cardboard. Go ahead and slide it in, and then from the back just give it a push up there, and there it is, zombie with the number 1 and a -1. And then we go ahead and take the zombie, and there's a little peg right there. Go ahead and put it right in there. And then he also needs a fire token. And then we're going to go ahead and put the zombie right here in hallway number 2 with a fire token on him. There we go. So with that, that's going to end the keeper turn, which now ends round 3. So let's go ahead and move on to round 4. Well, after Jenny saw Harvey open that closet door and all those bloody, gory body parts were in there, and the outline of the burnt body on the kitchen table, she's getting really, really jittery now that she's like, that's it, I'm out of here, I gotta get going. So we're gonna go ahead and start with Jenny Barnes. So Jenny Barnes, she's gonna go ahead and do her investigator turn, and then she's gonna go ahead and do her movement step. So she quickly looks at Harvey and says, that's it, we're out of here. You coming? Let's go. So she goes ahead and does one of her movements into the dining room. She'll do her next movement into the next space in the dining room. Then she's going to go ahead and do her action step. So for her action step, she's going to go ahead and do the run action, which says that she's allowed to go ahead and do another move to an adjacent space. So she goes ahead and moves through the door into the foyer. And with that, that's going to end Jenny's turn. Now we go ahead and go to Harvey Walters. So before Harvey could even react, Jenny was out the door and making her way towards the foyer. Harvey's like, "Oh, that little whippersnapper, I'll get you." So he goes ahead and makes his move for it. So he goes and does one movement out into the dining room. And then we'll do a second movement to get to the other space in the dining room. And then he's going to go ahead and do his action step. And just like Jenny, he's going to go ahead and do the run action. And he's going to go ahead and move into the foyer. Now, before he does that, he goes ahead and leans forward to grab the handle of the door to open it up. But with the keeper and his mythos cards, it says that after the movement steps and after the action steps, the keeper can play a mythos card. So after Harvey's second movement and before he does his action to do the run, the keeper is going to go ahead and play this mythos card called Locked Behind. And it says, "You jump as every door in the room slams shut. You frantically try to open one, but it is jammed. Test strength." So Harvey is going to have to go ahead and test strength to see if he can open that door. So we come over here to Harvey and his trait card. And his, oh, this is not good. Harvey's strength is a 3. So he needs to roll a 3 or less on the 10-sided die. Otherwise, he's going to fail. So let's see if he makes it. See if he's strong enough to push that door open. 9. Oh, no. No, almost worse than the last time. So I rolled a 9, which means it's a failure. So Harvey is not able to get that door open. So it says, "Fail. You may not move through any doors this turn." Okay, so Harvey is now stuck in the dining room here as this door cannot be opened, and if he goes to try this door, it's not going to be able to be opened. Now, this one, Locked Behind Mythos card, it's a little bit more powerful than the last Mythos card. The keeper is going to have to spend 1 threat token to have used this card. So we'll go ahead and grab a threat token, and the keeper will go ahead and spend that to use the card, and then we'll go ahead and discard this Mythos card. So Harvey is now stuck in the dining room as he's trying to get the door open to the foyer area. He's taking his cane and banging on the door. "Jenny, Jenny, get this door open. It won't open." All of a sudden, from behind Harvey, he hears a loud crash from the kitchen. And with this ends Harvey's turn. So now let's go on to keeper turn. Step 1, investigator trading step. So during this step, this is when the investigators can trade items, but they have to be in the same space. So Harvey is in the dining room in one space, and Jenny is in the foyer in one space. So because of that, they're not going to be able to trade anything. So let's go ahead and go on to step 2, gain threat step. So with there being 2 investigators, the keeper is going to gain 2 threat tokens. And now the keeper has a total of 5 threat tokens. So it looks like he's got a lot there. He might be able to use something with his keeper cards. Let's go ahead and check it out. Step 3, keeper action step. So let's go ahead and take a look at the keeper action cards. In our first one, we got command minion. Now we do have a monster on the board at the moment, but we're not going to use that one at the moment. We got Evil Presence. Now we do have 2 and 2 cards, so we can get up to a total of 4 each, but we're not going to get those cards at the moment. Got Take Sample. Now the monster's way up there, so this ain't going to help, so we don't worry about that. Uncontrollable Urges. Now they're split already. The investigators, they're split in the dining room and the foyer, so we're not going to really use that card. But the last one, Maniac Attack, this is what the keeper has been waiting for. So it's going to cost the keeper 4 threat tokens to bring out the Maniac Attack card. And it says, the door explodes into splinters as a crazed madman enters the room. Action, if no maniacs are in play, which they are not, choose a lone investigator. Place 1 maniac in his space. Okay? Now, if for some reason there was a maniac out there, you could do the bottom part of the card where it says, otherwise, fully heal a maniac. If he does not have a sample, move him to any space. Wow, that's kind of powerful. So it's going to cost the keeper 4 threat tokens. Go ahead and put those off to the side, and then we need to go get a maniac. So here's the maniac and his stuff. We got the maniac monster token and his base, and this is the maniac holding up an axe ready to strike. So we'll go ahead and we'll insert the token into the base. Just slide it right in there, and on the back side give it a push. So there's maniac, 0 and a -1, and then got the peg on the foot we'll put right there, and that's going to come right around as it comes crashing through the kitchen and sees Harvey and chases right after him and attacks. So now we move on to step 4, monster attack step. So when there is a monster in the same space as an investigator, the keeper can have that monster attack the investigator. But first, anytime a monster enters the same room you're in, or if you enter a room with a monster in it, you're going to have to do a horror test. In the rules of play part of the rulebook on pages 13 and 14, in this section, horror tests, this is where you can find the additional information about how to do a horror test against any kind of a monster that you come across. And a horror test is a willpower test, and then it's going to be modified by the monster's horror rating. So if you look at the maniac here, in the bottom right hand corner, there's a -1, and that's what the horror rating is for the maniac. So Harvey's got a willpower of 6, so 6 minus the horror rating, which is a -1, means that Harvey's got a roll of 5 or less, so that he's basically not scared by the maniac. Alright, let's see if Harvey makes it or not. No, okay Harvey, looks like you didn't. We got a 6. So that means that Harvey is going to end up taking a horror. So there's another one. So we're going to go ahead and add it to the 2 that are already up there. So now he has his sanity of 14, and now he has 3 up there, so he has 11 sanity left. And now that the horror test is completed, now you can go ahead and continue on with the combat. Now in the rules of play part of the rulebook on pages 21 to 23, in the section combat, this is the information you're going to need for doing combat. There's also a good example on page 22. So the way that combat works is that there are 3 different types of decks. You've got a blue, a brown, and a green. The blue one is humanoid, the brown is beast, and the green is eldritch. Now, depending on what type of monster you have, and the way that you can tell what type of monster you have is that up at the top, he's got a color right here, and the color on the Maniacs is blue. So that means that the Maniac is a humanoid monster. So then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get the blue deck, the humanoid deck, and all you do is just flip over the top card. We got two different sections here, a top and a bottom half. The top half is for the investigators, and the bottom half is for the monsters. And you'll go ahead and you'll just read the title and see if it applies to them. So the Maniac came into the room with an axe raised, ready to attack Harvey. And if we look on the humanoid combat deck here, it says Monster versus Barrier. So this is not the correct card for the situation here where the Maniac is coming in to attack. So since this is not the correct situation, we'll just go ahead and take this card and we'll put it to the bottom of the draw pile here, or you could put it into a discard pile. And you'll want to do that, and then once all the cards are in the discard pile, you'll just go ahead and reshuffle everything. So then we'll go ahead and we'll draw the next card, flip it over, and this time it says Monster Attacks. And then it says the monster makes its special attack. So what is the Maniac's special attack? So when it talks about a monster having a special attack, you'll just go ahead and take the base and turn it upside down, and it says the Maniac swings his blade at your face. Test dexterity. Alright, so Harvey has got to go ahead and test dexterity. So we come over to Harvey's trait card, and dexterity is a 2. Alright, so this ain't looking good for Harvey. So we'll go ahead and roll the d10 and make sure that we get either a 2 or below, which is going to be a 1. Anything higher than that, then Harvey's going to fail. Oh, he just missed it. So Harvey rolled a 3. So that means that Harvey failed. So now we just go ahead and flip over the Maniac again to see what a failure means. And it says, fail. The blade clips the top of your skull. Take 4 damage and 1 horror. Oh, that's not good. Oh no. Okay, so we got these tokens that got numbers on them. So here's a 4. So there's the 4 damage on Harvey. And then he also gets a horror token. So right now Harvey has 4 damage out of 6 and 4 horror out of 14. So it looks like 2 more damage on Harvey and Harvey is going to be dead. Oh, not good. Not good at all. Now, because damage was taken by Harvey, the keeper could have given Harvey an injury trauma card, one of the red ones, if he had one. And then Harvey also took horror, so the keeper could have given Harvey an insanity trauma card, one of the blue ones. Now, since Harvey already has an insanity trauma card, nyctophobia, when an investigator is given the same type of trauma card, whether it's injury or insanity, the first one goes away. The example in the rules of play part of the rule book on page 25 says, thematically, the investigator has found a way to cope with the trauma or is focusing all his energy on this new trauma. So next we go ahead and move on to step 5, event step. So we go ahead and take another time token and we put it on the event cards. So the number 2 event card, this time we have to have 4 of the time tokens on it before we can go ahead and draw that card. So this is going to end our 4th round and our video. So come on and join us next time as we continue to learn to play through Mansions of Madness, 1st edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch.